if I told you that for 3 days after his death, Jesus didn't rest in silence, but waged a spiritual war beneath the surface of the earth? That while his body lay in the tomb, his spirit descended into the darkest places of existence to proclaim something only heaven and hell could understand. This is not just theology. It's a mystery buried in Scripture, hidden between the verses, waiting to be uncovered. Where did Jesus go during those 3 days between the cross and the resurrection? The Bible gives us glimpses. The early church gave it a name, the Harrowing of Hell. But what really happened in that shadowed space between death and glory? Let's journey through the most mysterious 3 days in history. Jesus of Nazareth hung on the cross for 6 agonizing hours, bloodied, broken. And yet, in his final breath, he didn't cry out in defeat. He declared, "It is finished." Not "I am finished," but "It is finished." The work of redemption, the victory over sin. Moments later, he said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." His body was lifeless, but his spirit, alive, free, on mission. Joseph of Arimathea, with Nicodemus, took his body down and wrapped it for burial. They laid him in a new tomb. The stone was rolled in place. Silence fell. But in the unseen realm, Jesus was just getting started. As Jesus was dying, one of the criminals beside him said, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied with something astonishing. "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." Paradise? But wasn't Jesus also going to descend into the heart of the earth, as he said in Matthew 12, verse 40? How could he go to paradise and still descend? This is where mystery deepens. To the Jewish mind, paradise often referred to a place within Sheol, the realm of the dead, not hell as we imagine it, but a place of comfort and rest, separated from torment. Some call it Abraham's bosom, described in Luke 16. In this view, Jesus went to the place where the righteous dead waited, not yet in heaven, but in peace, awaiting redemption. The thief would go with him. But that's not all Jesus did. Hidden in Peter's letter is one of the most mysterious verses in all of Scripture. 1 Peter 3, verse 18 to 19 says, "For Christ also suffered once for sins. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit. After being made alive, he went and made proclamation to the imprisoned spirits." Who are these imprisoned spirits? Why did Jesus go to them? Some believe these are fallen angels, beings who rebelled with Satan, locked away since the time of Noah. Others say they are the souls of the wicked dead. The book of Jude and 2 Peter refer to angels who did not keep their positions of authority and are now bound with everlasting chains. Whoever these spirits were, Jesus didn't go to offer them salvation. Hebrews 2 verse 16 says, "He does not help angels." He went to proclaim something, perhaps his victory, his authority, the irreversible triumph of the cross. Imagine the Son of God descending into the depths, proclaiming to the imprisoned enemies of God, "I have conquered death. I have fulfilled the plan. I am the living one." Hell didn't rejoice, it trembled. The Apostle Paul gives us another piece of the puzzle. In Ephesians 4, verse 8 to 10, he writes, "When he ascended on high, he led captives in his train." What does "he ascended" mean, except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? This suggests Jesus descended before he ascended, and when he rose, he took captives with him. Who were they? Not prisoners of wrath, but saints of old. Abraham, David, Ruth, Isaiah, Daniel, all those who died in faith looking forward to the Messiah. They couldn't enter heaven yet. The sacrifice wasn't complete. But when Jesus died, the veil tore. Access was granted. And on the 3rd day, Jesus rose, not alone, but leading a host of redeemed souls to their eternal home. It's the greatest prison break in eternity. Jesus himself gave a cryptic clue about this mystery. In Matthew 12, verse 40, he said, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Not just buried, not just lifeless, but in the heart of the earth. A place with weight and meaning, a realm beneath our world, where spirits are held, where the dead await judgment or mercy. This was no passive resting place. Jesus descended for a purpose. He entered death's domain, not as a victim, but as a conqueror. Early on the third day, before the break of dawn, the earth trembled. An angel descended from heaven. The stone was rolled away, not to let Jesus out, but to show that he was already gone. Matthew 28 verse 2 says, "There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone." Jesus had risen. But something even more mysterious occurred at the moment of his death, something most people miss. Matthew 27 verse 52 to 53 tells us, "The tombs broke open and the bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people." Pause. These weren't ghosts. These were resurrected saints, a divine signal that death had been defeated. Jesus didn't just come back from the dead. He broke death's grip on everyone who belonged to God. The gates of eternity had been flung open. When Jesus emerged from the tomb, it was not as a wounded survivor. It was as a victor. The cross wasn't a tragedy. It was a throne. Colossians 2 verse 15 says, "Having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross." This wasn't a quiet resurrection. In the unseen world, it was a declaration of total authority. Every demon, every fallen angel, every cursed power knew the war was over. Jesus had won. And that's what the harrowing of hell was really about. Not Jesus suffering in death, but Jesus stripping death of its power. You see, the question of where did Jesus go for 3 days isn't just a theological curiosity. It's a mirror reflecting your own spiritual destiny. Because of those 3 days, death is no longer the end. Sin no longer owns you. Satan no longer has the last word. Hebrews 2 verse 14 to 15 puts it beautifully. "Since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might break the power of him who holds the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death." Jesus didn't just descend into the earth, he descended into our fear, our bondage, our curse, and he shattered them from the inside out. After his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples for 40 days. He ate with them, taught them, showed them the scars that had sealed Satan's defeat. Then he ascended into heaven. Ephesians 1 verse 20 to 21 describes what happened next. He raised Christ from the dead and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly realms, far above all rule and authority, not only in the present age, but also in the one to come. The journey from the cross to the throne passed through the grave, but it didn't stop there. Jesus returned to the Father, not empty-handed, but carrying the keys of death and Hades. He had taken what Adam lost and gave it back to humanity. Let's answer the question now, clearly, biblically, and powerfully. Where did Jesus go between his death and resurrection? He went to paradise as he promised the thief, most likely a section of Sheol reserved for the righteous. He went to proclaim victory to imprisoned spirits, possibly fallen angels bound since Noah's time. He led the righteous dead, those who had died in faith, out of Sheol and into the eternal presence of God. He descended into the heart of the earth, fulfilling prophecy and defeating death from within. And finally, he rose in triumph, forever breaking the curse of sin. This is no myth, no symbolic tale. This is the thunder that echoed through eternity when the Son of God rose, not just from the grave, but through every realm of darkness. Friend, the same Jesus who conquered death has not changed. He still saves, he still delivers, and he still holds the keys to your life. If Jesus could descend into death and rise victorious, what situation in your life is too far gone for him to restore? Let this mystery awaken your faith. Let it remind you, Jesus didn't escape death. He conquered it. The same power that raised him now lives in you if you believe. So the next time someone asks, what did Jesus do for 3 days? You'll know. He tore down hell's gates. He crushed the head of the serpent. And he came back with the names of the redeemed written in victory.